Everybody, to another episode of the Sperging Out Podcast. My name is Mitch Grace, and I'm the author of the book Growing Up with Asperger's Lessons Learned and Shareable Wisdom, available on Amazon right now. It's on paperback and Kindle format, and the audiobook version on Audible and other platforms will be available soon. And I'm joined here, as always, by my co-host extraordinaire.
Hello, I'm an autism therapist. I do in-home autism for adults and teenagers.
Yes, and thank you for being here as always. And today's topic is going to be pretty specialized, not just for autistic individuals, but also the human experience, and that is dating. Well, that
everyone's favorite thing.
Yes, everyone's favorite thing. But as I feel like we can provide some unique insights because you're not autistic. You've been on plenty of dates. I am autistic. I've also been on a number of dates, but dating. I don't know, with the advent of social media, short form content, dating apps and whatnot.
The advent of dating apps. That's the one.
The one thing I've realized is that it's very easy to find someone that you're interested in, but it's a lot more difficult to find someone that you're interested in who's also interested in you.
Oh yeah, I think that's the trouble of all dating.
Yeah.
Like always. I think I don't know where to jump in. Where do you want to start in this topic?
So, when should an autistic person start actually genuinely trying to pursue a relationship?
Okay, that's actually a really good question. So, when it comes to someone with autism, it really depends on their needs.
Yes.
But the main thing is they have, just like anyone else, they have to have their own shit together.
Yes.
They have to be able to independently live and be able to handle the idea of going out there and connecting their lives with someone else and being with them. So just like you or I, if I can't make rent, if I can't afford food, if I'm spending every waking hour of my day working or at school or doing something else, I'm probably not ready to go on dates or date people. It's the same with someone with autism. Could be different things. If they are struggling with even interacting, having a conversation with people, they're probably not ready to go on dates. And this becomes a whole minefield when you start including dating other people with autism or dating neurotypical people, and how those intersectionalities create so much stress in an already stress and trauma-filled experience such as dating.
Yeah.
I'm sure, have you heard of the show Autism Love on the Spectrum?
I have, yes.
My boss loves that show. I hate it with every ounce of my being. I don't hate it that much, but it feels a little exploitative. But it's a show where they get people with autism to go to group events with other people with autism to go on dates. And it's framed in this cutesy, kind of lighthearted way, but a lot of the way it's set up, it feels like it's setting up the individuals for failure. And so, just because someone has autism does not mean they're immediately going to connect with someone else who has autism. Just like someone with depression isn't immediately going to click with someone else with depression. Just like someone with, any disability. Just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you automatically are going to be a great partner for someone else in a wheelchair. That is simply not how life works.
Yeah, because I went on a few dates with someone that was also on the spectrum, and we just didn't click.
Yeah, I can't speak from personal experience or even from my client's experience, but I could see just from the show I talked about and just in general, how someone with autism going on a date with someone else with autism may find that more difficult, because then both people are missing social cues and are needing more explicit direction. And if one person has these expectations and the other person doesn't, and they're not really communicating them well with each other, because a relationship's all about communication.
Yes.
And people with autism tend to have a harder time at communicating and taking in communication. I feel like that is a very difficult setup. Two people who are having social issues working together.
Yes. So when I went on 3 dates with this autistic woman, and I've noticed that I was 100% leading the conversation, which is difficult. It's incredibly difficult. And so whenever she would talk to me about what she did for work, her upbringing and whatnot, I would always actively listen to ask follow-up questions and whatnot. And then whenever she would ask me what I would do for fun or my upbringing or what I do for work and whatnot, I would tell her, I would give her the answer, and then she would go, "Oh, cool. That's it."
Yeah.
She would not ask a follow-up question, and I was just like, okay, tell me more about this thing you just told me about. I'm just like, and then get to talk about.
I feel like you have to drag the conversation out of the other person.
Yes.
As someone who's been on neurotypical dates, I've had that same experience with neurotypical women. Sometimes there's not that chemistry, that spark. And then like if you ever feel like you have to drag the conversation along, it's probably not working.
Yeah, and you also have to, when you go on dates, you also have to be prepared. Okay, you know what? This is something I never understood. So I went on a date with a woman who we met up at IKEA, and her dating
first date at IKEA
and only date. I'll get to that.
Sorry, it's a weird first date.
Well, she said in her bio, "Hey, I love making puns. I absolutely love them." It's like, all right, I like puns too. We can do something with that. And we both decided, well, where's somewhere we could go where we can make a lot of puns? IKEA. And so we met at IKEA, and we walked around, and we made a lot of puns. I thought I thought the date was going great. I thought for sure I was going to go on another one. I got her number, and then I said, hey, would you like to go on another one? She said, you came off more as a friend, so no thank you. So I was like, okay. So as an autistic person, I'm like, what did I do to come off as a friend?
Well, this is just general dating list. That's the secret. You didn't do anything wrong. I mean, if I've been on enough dates where at the end of the date, the girl said, I'm not really into a second date. We could just be friends or something like that. At the end of the day, that usually just means they weren't attracted to you or there wasn't that spark of chemistry for them. Yeah. Unless they give you an explicit explanation of like, you did this thing that was really rude. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, people are all very picky. And so if it doesn't go well and there's no explicit reason, it's probably just because they weren't too attracted to you. Yeah. Like they just weren't interested.
Yeah.
And that's not a condemnation of the way you look or the way you acted during the date.
Yeah, I mean...
People are just different and want different things.
That's true. I mean, I'm one to talk, because I've been on the other side of that, where I would go on a date, I wouldn't think there's any chemistry there, and I would just tell the person, hey, I'm sorry, I see you more as a friend and not as a romantic partner, so I think we should part ways here.
Yeah, same thing, where it's like not a condemnation to the other person.
Yeah, so, but circling back to that autistic woman I went on a date with, it's... So, she was expecting... Okay, so like, at the end of the first date, I hug her goodbye, and we part ways. I had her number at this point, and then I texted her saying, "Hey, I had a great time. Would you like to go on another one?" And she texted me back saying, "Oh, I'm surprised you want to go on another date with me. I had a great time too. I want to go on another date, but I'm surprised you wanted to because I thought because you barely. This will always stick out in my brain." She said, you barely touched me when we parted ways." I'm like, "What do you mean? I hugged you." She said, "Yeah, you barely touched me." Very heavily implying she was wanting something else, something more.
Yeah.
And that threw me off because I was like, hold on, you never indicated you wanted any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's a weird, especially, and that was a first date, right?
Yes.
That's especially weird, to be honest. I mean, there's like reading the room and knowing the mood, but like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like if the date went well and you gave her a hug and you asked her for a second date and then she went, "Oh, I didn't think you wanted a second date because you didn't take me to bed or kiss me or hug me enough." That's oddly specific, which maybe, something attributed to her autism diagnosis.
So the point I'm trying to get here is be direct with the person you're going on a date with.
Yeah,
like,
communication.
Yes, communication. So, co-host extraordinaire, I understand you have some grievances with dating apps.
Infinite grievances with dating apps, just like with social media.
Please elaborate.
I mean, in general, for everyone, dating apps kind of turn the whole dating system into like a gamified system, which seems easy at first, but there's this disconnect socially, especially with individuals with autism, because the system itself is built on all these rules and standards that aren't obvious or explicit. Like actual dating. The thing is since it's new, no one's teaching anyone how to use a dating app. Yeah. Like, you really don't know. You just get in, you follow the rules, you set up the instructions, you make a profile, and then you're thrown into the wind and you don't really know what's going on. And this is especially true of the first match. People get into initial matches very easily, but that opening conversation is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Even as someone like me, I'm very social. I talk to people all the time. Those first messages on every dating match I've ever had on the apps is a nightmare. Yeah, how do you start a conversation with someone you know nothing about, just out of thin air, and then keep it going when there's these massive pauses between text messages? it breaks the flow, the chemistry.
Mhm.
And then someone with autism jumping into that, it's going to be much harder, especially when there's the other secondary issues of bots,
Oh
Snapchat
God, yeah.
girls, other scams that are on the apps, and then the apps trying to trick you into paying for them when you really don't need to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pitfalls that can be easily fall into for anyone, let alone someone with special needs.
Yeah, it's just
Uh,
it's I do caution. So like what are some things that an autistic person could look out for that so they know something is a scam?
the obvious ones are I had a client who I helped through the dating process using the apps. Number one is A, do their pictures match? Is it the same person in every picture? B, are they asking you for money? If they're asking you for money, it's immediately a scam, no matter what. No woman is going on a dating app and asking random strangers for money. That's just not a thing. That's not a real person. That's a scammer. If they link you to their premium Snapchat, if they link them to any kind of outside web page, it's a scam.
Yep.
The only thing you should be talking, the only communication methods you should be using while using dating apps are the app itself and personal text messages.
Yes.
If they give you your phone number, you can call and text them. Do not jump to Facebook even. Facebook seems safe, but just stick with the app and texting. Anything else is like an avenue for weird identity trickery and bots and scammers.
Yeah, and if the woman's bio says, "Oh, I'm more active on Instagram," swipe left.
Yeah.
Swipe left.
That generally means that they're looking for Instagram followers and not dates.
Exactly. So,
That
what?
was the first pitfall. That was the main one.
Mhm.
Helping them make their profile was also an interesting experience. I guess it's what you put on a profile. They treated their dating profile initially like almost like a Wikipedia page, whereas like this is
Ah,
my personal information, which isn't incorrect, but this isn't a job application. This isn't your resume.
yeah.
This is you trying to attract another individual. So you want to put interesting, fun stuff about you, stuff that isn't as skill based. So I had to go in and talk to my client about like, okay, well, you should use these pictures because they're you with your friends. They're not as professional looking, but you really shouldn't be using professional looking photos in your dating app
Oh,
because it.
I I did.
Oh, ah.
I
I mean, hey,
sorry.
I mean, you can use professional photos, but like, it's better to have photos of you and your friends out doing stuff, activities, because it shows that you have a social life.
Yeah, now that I think about it, before when I was still using dating apps and I was using professional pictures, I did one person. I think one woman did ask me, "Hey, are you a bot?" And I had to prove that I wasn't. And she
Yeah.
thought, "Oh, yeah, this is the same person, but these all have the same filter and whatnot. This guy's just in different outfits,"
Yeah. It was
which is fair. Now that I think about it.
it was that and the playfulness. There was no playfulness in his profile. It was this is
Yeah.
my information, very rote.
Hmm.
You need a bit of je ne sais quoi. You need a bit of spice, some fun in there,
Yeah.
something that makes you stand out. Between the bajillion of people on there.
Yes, and something that I want to point out to everybody, not just autistic people that are going to use the dating apps, is I mean, I don't like charisma channels as a whole, but I did get a good piece of advice in one, which is don't put what you don't like on there. Like, don't in your bio, don't put, oh, I don't like this. I don't like people who like this. I don't like people who are like this. I don't like political leanings. I don't, or if they're having any dietary restrictions, or if they say, oh, if you're, it can be even something as trivial as sports. It's like if you're a Cowboys fan, swipe left, or oh, if you're or something like that. Just don't
Yeah,
put that you don't like something because you're automatically limiting yourself. And don't,
and you're coming across as judgmental and negative.
yeah, negative. That's the big
Because
thing.
again, with the same client, they put that they would only in their profile. I swear to you, they put that they would only date women who listen to metal music. And the first thing I said to them was like, okay, first off, you're limiting your dating pool significantly with that.
Yes.
Second off, why does it matter what your
Yeah,
girlfriend slash future wife listens to?
that's a good point.
You're not forced to listen to it, mostly. Maybe in the
Yeah.
car. But like, those kind of things, they come across as judgmental, negative, and almost needy expectations. They have high expectations.
Yeah.
And no one really wants to start talking to or even start dating someone who they feel is going to judge them harshly
Yeah.
over every little thing.
Man, so yeah, when you're building out your bio, so the thing with dating apps is that there's a bunch you could put, like your horology sign or astrology sign. Excuse me, your astrology sign if you're into that. You can put if you're like recreational marijuana, if you drink socially, if you like some more prescription stuff. Like there's your height, your weight, your occupation, your area in which you live. The You don't have to put all of that on your bio. You can only share what you want to share. Like I personally didn't put my political preference. I didn't put my astrology sign. I didn't put my usage of marijuana and or
Uh,
anything like that.
that's actually another good piece of advice. Yeah, if it's something you don't care about other people, don't put it on your profile.
Yes.
So if you don't care that your partner smokes, don't put that you smoke or don't smoke.
Yes.
That's generally a good way to handle what information you should put on there. If it doesn't matter to you, what other like, then don't put it on the profile because it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Although it should be stated that on most of the apps, unless you pay for certain features, you're not going to be able to set any filters on who you get to swipe on. The only filters you're going to have is, are you interested in men, women, or both? And then, or something in between or outside of it.
And then distance.
And then distance. Those are the only two you're getting. So if you want, oh, I only want to date women who are Christian or Catholic or Jewish or Hindu or Muslim or anything, good luck. You're not going to get that unless you fork over a few dollars.
And it's not really worth it at the end of the day to fork over the money. It's easier just to read the profiles yourself and swipe based on your preference.
Yes, and oh my gosh. Okay, so dudes, this also applies to ladies, but don't think. You think with your head and your heart, not your. How do you want to phrase this, co-host?
I mean, you could swipe for whatever reason you want to swipe. I think I actually disagree.
Oh, okay. Please.
I mean, obviously, don't be completely shallow. If the person's profile reads like the opposite of anyone you'd ever want to date, doesn't matter how hot they are, you shouldn't swipe on them. But if really you care about it, like the physical looks of someone, then that's fair. I mean, it's your preference. You're the one picking them to date.
Right.
It shouldn't be the only thing that matters. But also, when it comes to dating profiles, you can never really be sure how much of it's true or accurate. And an actual like first date is the most important thing. That's when you really actually get to know what a person's like and how they talk and who they are.
Yeah, like,
not their profile.
I guess what I mean is if you're trying to find a girlfriend, if you're trying to find a relationship on dating apps, don't swipe right on someone just because you think they're hot.
Yeah. There needs to be a little more than that.
Like, you need to, like, if you're trying to sleep with someone, I mean, just put on your bio that you're trying to sleep with people.
Yeah, if you're looking for short-term relationships, put that you're looking for short-term relationships. Yes. Don't lead anyone on. That's awful.
Oh yeah, that's something you could put on your dating apps too. That I think is required on most ones. Like,
most of them.
What are you looking for?
Ask for that now.
Although, don't be surprised if you come across someone that says, "Oh, I'm looking for something long term," and they want to sleep with you night one, or the opposite, where someone's like, "Oh, I want to sleep with you night one," but they're like, "I don't know about you just yet."
Yeah, I mean, people are different. People have different preferences. Dating apps are kind of like a pigeonhole. You're forcing yourself into a box to try to sell yourself to other people.
Yeah.
And the reality is people aren't perfect. People aren't boxes. You can't categorize every aspect of who you are as a person. So you'll say something on there and then reality will be a little different. Like my client said that he only wanted to date women who listen to metal music. Yet he's currently dating a girl who does not listen to metal music because turns out he thinks that's a priority, but in reality, everyday life, not a priority. Not actually what he cares about.
Like, that's actually something I want to go over too. It's like when you're putting yourself out there to date, you need to figure out what is a need and what is a want. Yes. You need to separate what is a requirement and what is out on your wish list. Yeah. For example, a requirement for me is I want to date someone who does not have any dietary restrictions. So no vegetarians and no vegans. I have nothing against vegetarians or vegans, just I like to go to steakhouses. I would want to take my date to a steakhouse, especially Brazilian steakhouses, because the cheese bread alone, chef's kiss. So yeah, vegans and vegetarians, that's a requirement. A wish list is I'd like them to play video games. I would like them to at least tolerate sports. I would like them to, well, I guess this is a requirement. I would like them to be able to take a joke and to also throw a joke back at me.
And they can't watch anime.
I mean, if they
watch I'm joking. I'm joking. That was a joke. I'm sorry. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I actually have this system that I think worked well with my client that I would recommend for other people to do. Take the things that you're thinking about, especially if they're on the profile or questions already asked, list them, like you said, as wants and needs, and then major and minor.
Yes.
So major need would be, do you want to have children in the future? That's something that's a make or break.
Yes.
If they don't want to have kids, they don't want to have kids. That is required. Some people would put smoking. A lot of people don't want to date someone who smokes. I mean, it's fair.
Weed, cigarettes,
Drinking, drugs. Those are things that all usually go into need and then major. But then there's need and minor, where it's like you feel it's required, but it's not as important as the major ones, where it's like, I need you to be able to take a joke, or I need you. Those are like the ambiguous things where it's hard to actually gauge whether that's true or false about someone.
Yeah.
You know, being able to take a joke, being able to hold a conversation, being able to watch sports. Like anyone can say they watch sports, but do they actually engage with it?
Yeah.
And then the needs, or then the wants, are just whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, you know, a major want would be like, I want you to not have tattoos. It's not a make or break, but I prefer people who don't have tattoos.
Yes.
And then the minor want would be like playing video games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like another.
So when you categorize them into those 4 quadrants, it makes it a lot easier to prioritize what you put on the profile and what you're looking for when you're looking at other people's profiles.
Exactly.
So I went through all that with my client and had them do all of that, and then they found someone pretty quickly. Actually,
Wonderful.
they went through a couple of rough dates and a couple of bots, but they did eventually find someone on the dating app and who they are currently dating. Yep. Have been dating for a while now.
Yep, that's the same story with yours truly. What dating apps do you recommend people use? Because there's a lot
That's a tough one.
Because there's a lot of scam ones out there.
Yeah, they change so often that it's actually hard.
Because there's the big 3: Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble.
Yeah.
In fact, I think all 3 are owned by the same company.
I think Hinge. It's either Hinge or Bumble is the one that isn't owned by the company.
You know, it's Hinge.
Oh, it's Hinge. The rest are all owned by one company, Match.com.
Wow, what are the odds?
Yeah, they own almost every dating app. It's kind of wild. But yeah, my client used Hinge, and Hinge is the one I've used when I've used it. But
yeah,
I don't think I know enough to make any definitive statements on what's what.
So
because Bumble's interesting in that the woman has to message the man first.
Not anymore.
Oh, they changed that?
Yeah, they did.
But that was the only thing that made it different than the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then I don't know. See, again, I'm not an expert. I use Hinge. I like Hinge. I like the layout. I like the way it looks. It doesn't feel too scammy. It's not constantly trying to get me to give it money.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Tinder and OkCupid were very quick to be like, please give us money.
Yeah, I mean, from all the dating apps I've noticed, they're pretty much all like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you want something more specialized, like there is an dating app for autistic individuals, and a future episode is we are going to set up a profile on this dating app just to see what we like and don't like about it.
Yeah, and I will not look up that dating app beforehand, so it'll all be new to me.
Yes.
So it'll be our genuine reactions to how it's set up and stuff.
It'll be your genuine reaction.
Mine.
Yes, I signed up for it like a few months ago. Well, not a few months ago. A few years ago, out of morbid curiosity, and yeah, I had thoughts about it, but that was a long time ago, so it's probably changed since then. Like they had a question what my favorite STEM is, and I don't have one because I don't STEM.
STEM, yeah.
So STEM, I bet.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be interesting to look at.
Yeah, so a little tease for the audience right there, and then, but. So if you want something, there are more specialized dating apps, such as, I mean, the ones that come to mind are Christian Mingle, Black People Meet, Farmers Only.
Farmers Only? Wait,
Yeah.
no. Is there a dating app for farmers?
Yeah, it's called Farmers Only. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, you can specialize by race. You can specialize by religion and by, I guess, whether or not you live in a more urban or rural setting. You can do that. So, but if you want to cast the widest net, then yeah, you do have to. If you want to cast the widest net, you do have to go on the more generalized dating apps, like a Bumble, like a Tinder, like a Hinge. I've also heard. I haven't used it, but I heard about Coffee Meets Bagel or Just Lunch, which is more for more career focused people. But again, I don't know about the layout for these, so
I'm learning so much about dating apps, like career focused dating apps.
Just lunch, because corporate people, career focused people only have time for lunch, so it's just lunch.
That's so odd.
Hashtag not sponsored. I just remember that from the commercial. Like,
Let's see. But
so.
yeah, given that there's so many different options, though,
Oh,
even like the autism one we mentioned, even if you are an individual with autism, I wouldn't recommend just doing the autism dating app. Because again, if you're an individual with autism, you can date neurotypical people.
yeah,
There's
you
no
can.
reason to limit yourself to other people with autism. That's unnecessary.
Yeah, I've went on several dates with several different women who are not autistic by any stretch of the imaginations, and I enjoyed myself with them. Because the thing that I actually liked most about dating, going on dates, was that I learned something about myself. I learned that, hey, I actually do have boundaries. I do have things I will say no to. I have things where I do have red flags that I'm looking for. There are green flags that I look for. So, um,
Yeah, that's one of the first things you start learning when you begin dating in general
mhm.
is when you go into dating, you're just like, oh, I want a girlfriend or oh, I want a boyfriend. But once you start actually dating, you start picking up on what are the make or break things for you. What are the red flags that you'll see on the first date?
Yes.
Because people don't really think of that until they're presented the situation and they start learning through experience. Like, if this person acts this way on the first date, they're probably not going to be a good partner, or not a good partner for me at least.
Yes, like a red flag I consistently looked for was, is the person I'm going on a date with, if we're getting food, are they rude to the waiter?
Oh yeah,
Because
it's a giveaway.
if they're rude to the waiter, they're going to be rude to you. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Do they only complain? I've
Yes,
been on so
yes.
many first dates where the woman I was with only complained about their coworkers and their life and all the problems they had the entire date. Which I shouldn't have to say this. It's not very attractive.
Yeah, it's
Like complaining, everyone likes to commiserate, but there's a limit where it's like if this is your whole life, this is not you're not in a place you should be dating people.
yeah, like I didn't go on a date with this person. I did work with someone where all she fucking did was complain, and she was just a buzzkill. It's like I don't want to. It's if I don't want to spend time with you working, I can't imagine what her dating life is like. Because I bet she just complains about the blind date she goes on too. It's just like, ugh.
Well, in her defense, maybe she's more less miserable when she's not working. Most
That's
people seem to be less happy when they're working. So,
That's very true. That's very true. Oh, that's another thing we should talk about. What if should an autistic person pursue a relationship in the office?
oh gosh, that's a tough one. So, like,
It's heavily dependent on the office.
yeah, oftentimes we're told you should never date your coworkers, and there's good reason for that. It can
Yeah,
cause a lot of inter-office drama,
yeah,
but everyone does. That's the secret. Everyone dates their coworkers. If you're attracted to your coworker and they're attracted to you, you're going on a date.
yes,
No amount of office bureaucracy or rules are suddenly going to make that not happen. People are people at the end of the day.
yeah, and
So
there,
despite it, everyone being, every piece of media being like, don't date your coworkers, every company telling you you can't date your coworkers, you shouldn't, people will still do it.
yeah, like
And I
there's
don't think it's a bad thing, but you have to go in knowing that if things don't work out, it may be very awkward at work.
yes, and then you also because like workplace relationships are difficult to even get into because you have to determine as an autistic person, okay, is this person being nice to me because they're just my coworker, or are they being a little flirtatious because they're genuinely interested in me? Because there do exist people, men and women, who are just flirts.
Mm-hmm.
They'll flirt with you, but to them it means nothing. But to you, it may mean everything.
Yes.
So
That my advice for that, and goes for everyone, is just ask.
yes,
Never try to guess someone's intentions. Never try to be like, oh, maybe they are flirting with me.
yeah,
If you are attracted to a person and would like to go on a date with them, ask them out on a date. If they say yes, then they're interested. If they say no, they're not interested. It's
yes,
that simple. Don't mind game it. Don't try to come up with some complicated algorithm or system or formula. Just ask explicitly.
yes.
Like it's so much easier when you only focus on actual directed communication.
Yes, and this shouldn't go without saying, but if you, an autistic person, are a manager or a supervisor, do not ask out your subordinates.
Yes, if they're below you on the totem pole, you cannot ask them out. That is crossing so many lines.
Yes, they're like you can only ask out someone who's also a manager or supervisor, or I mean, shoot, I assume you can't ask out. Like for example, when I worked at the bar in the downtown area, there were two managers that I wanted to ask out so badly, and one of my coworkers did, and for obvious reasons got shot down. But like that isn't. Is that as frowned upon asking out your boss? Is that as frowned upon as a boss asking out their subordinate? This is a genuine question I have.
It's the same, I would argue.
Okay.
So because either way, someone is instigating a dynamic that is unhealthy in the workplace and arguably unhealthy in their relationship.
Yep.
Creating that power dynamic where this person is above you and has control over your wage, your life, your work. Ask them out, like, while it may seem simple enough when you're below them because you're not the one imposing anything.
Yeah.
You're still creating that dynamic where it's like if they say yes, now you're both in an awkward situation. It's better to just avoid that.
Yeah.
Only ask out people who are on the same level as you coworker wise. Even if you really want to ask your manager out, I mean, that's such a hard minefield to navigate that I don't think it's ever worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I did eventually ask out that manager on a date, but it was until I wasn't working for the bar for a long time at that point. So
yeah,
it was I had the sense to wait.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but that's all general like dating advice. Yes. When it comes to an individual with autism, the main things is just to try to be yourself. Don't mask. Don't try to be what you think normal is.
Yes.
Just be you.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work out, don't take it as some horrible condemnation of yourself or your abilities. Just understand that most dates don't work out. People go on a lot of dates before they meet their long-term partner. Yep. That's just normal.
And so we've been discussing from the perspective as we're both dudes, and we are. Our advice has been a bit more general, but it's been leaning more towards our
personal experiences.
And we're telling this to guys that are listening to our podcast. But I actually want to dive into what advice could we give autistic women who want to start dating? Because there's a few things I can think of off the top of my head that would make their lives a lot easier.
I mean, from my perspective, most of the advice we give goes for both men and women. But for women specifically, especially if you are on the autism spectrum, and this is going to sound hackneyed and stereotypical, be aware that people do sometimes go out with people just because you're physically attractive.
Oh, 100%.
So do not think that, if I give this person sex or any physical intimacy, that will make the relationship better by default. That is not true. Some people are just bad people. And superficial.
Shallow.
Yeah. And you should not immediately jump into that unless that is genuinely what you feel comfortable with yourself personally, not for them. Don't do it for them, do it for you.
Yes. And be direct.
Yeah.
Be direct. Because so many... Okay, say what you mean and mean what you say is, I guess, another way of me saying be direct. Because there's a stereotype of guys and gals on dating apps who are like, oh, look for something long term. Actually, I'm just trying to sleep with you. Or I'm just trying to sleep with people. Actually, I want something long term. No, just say what if you put in your bio, hey, I'm looking for a long term relationship, mean it.
Yeah, in my experience, the chatting stage of dating, if you're using a dating app, the texting, is just fun, playful banter, jokes, mild things, nothing really serious. And then once you are on the actual first date in person is when you start going over, okay, so what are you looking for in a relationship for real? What kind of person are you looking for? Do you want to have children? Those questions are what come up in the first date that really help navigate things.
Yes.
And I am a firm believer that asking those questions early is important.
Yes.
So many people seem to act like that's weird to ask those early. I don't know why you wouldn't. Yeah, if you want to have kids and the other person doesn't want to have kids, why would you not ask and find out for sure at the beginning?
Exactly. That
is a make or break.
Exactly. 100% agree. 100% agree.
And in my experience, women appreciate that forwardness, that willingness to ask those questions up front at the beginning. As long as you're not coming across as desperate or needy. But people like to talk about what they want to do with their life and what they believe in themselves.
I have gotten mostly positive feedback from the women that I've been that forward with on the whole, hey, do you want this? Do you want this? Are you like this? And that, because there were a few occasions where I'm like, okay, yeah, if they say, hey, or do you want this? And they say yes, I'm like, all right, sorry, this isn't going to work out. And she says, okay, well, thanks for being direct and honest with me. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
So,
unless it's something that can be compromised on, because some things are compromisable. Obviously, children not so much. But
Yeah. So we've discussed a lot about dating apps, but what if you don't want to use a dating app? What if you actually want to go out in the real world and try to find someone? Because a good piece of advice I wish I had gotten when I was in college by, funny enough, an autistic person is find out what you like. I like video games. I like sports. I like hiking. I like trains. Why not?
I was going to say trains. How'd you beat me to it?
I'm just great minds think alike.
Great minds think alike.
The point being is that know what you like and then go to where those people are. Like
Yes.
if you like comic books, go to a convention.
The best place to meet people are mutual interest places.
Yes.
So if you like comic books, go to a comic book convention. If you like anime, my apologies, but also go to an anime convention.
Yes, go to us. Sporting events are a little bit difficult because their attention is on the game, not socializing. But apparently there are sporting conventions.
And there's probably clubs, meetups.
Yes. The one thing I will give social media a lot of credit for is that it is easy to find local groups that have similar interests. Like I can go onto Facebook right now and type in my city hiking group or my city fan group of this team, and then a lot of these groups are public and they're like, hey, we're having a meetup at this time and this time. Come,
there's also meetup.com, which actually is a website dedicated for people finding clubs and organizations in their area.
Okay, I have something to Google later.
Yeah, meetup.com is fantastic. You just type in what you're interested in, and it will show you everything in your area of that club. And it's neat. You get to meet new people and meet people similar interests, which helps you break the ice, because then you can start talking about your mutual interests and then lead into asking someone out if you're actually interested.
Yes. So this is I want to give a piece of advice that is a mistake I made myself, and I also witnessed other people make. So imagine, if you will, a group of friends, let's say 8 to 10 people, and there's the one woman that's single that you're really interested in. You shouldn't be attached to the hip to her at every social outing. Like if she's walking by herself, you don't need to run up next to her and walk with her and start a conversation.
Yes.
Don't. That's forcing it, and nobody likes to be.
Yeah,
forced.
that lost puppy dog kind of act.
Yeah.
No one finds that attractive.
Yeah, this is a lesson I very much wish I learned before I went to college, because oh boy,
I feel like a lot of people didn't know that in college. I've seen it many times.
Yes, yes. So if you are in a social circle that has that has enough people in it, and if there's someone you're attracted to in it, yeah, have one-on-one conversations. But if you're in a group hangout, like if y'all are out playing pool or bowling, if you're all are going to see a movie, don't be next to her at every waking second. And because the whole lost puppy dog thing, if she's trying to do that to you, then that's a good sign. To be fair,
maybe, yeah, it depends.
No, that's also true.
Yeah, I mean, see, this is where it gets complicated because everyone's a little different. Everyone has different expectations and needs. The main thing is, if you're going to these clubs and you're going with the intent of meeting someone, make sure you're going to enjoy the actual activity in the clubs and the socializing and everything else.
Yeah.
Focus on that. If you meet someone, that's good, but don't go in looking to meet someone, or you're going to try to force it, like you said earlier. And if you try to force it, you may end up on a date with someone you don't actually like going out with.
Yeah.
Or you might just make it awkward, or you might just come across as pushy. At the end of the day, people really are attracted to independent adult human beings.
Yes.
So, like, if you're there to enjoy your interest and have a good time, and there's a girl you're attracted to, just wait for you two to talk naturally. Don't follow her around like you were saying. And my other piece of advice is don't be afraid to ask them out.
Yeah.
My client had that issue where he was always waiting for the right moment to ask girls out. And there is no right moment. Obviously, there are wrong moments. Don't ask them out at the funeral. Don't ask them out while they have a significant other, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't ask them out in front of a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, don't do.
But don't wait for the perfect conversation sequitur, or don't wait for signs of her flirting with you. You'll know if she's interested if she says yes or no. That is the sign.
I have found that the best time to ask someone out, if it's in a social setting, is when it's about its end, when a lot of people are going to go their ways. Like if y'all are seeing a movie, you're done with the movie, you're about to go to your cars. Politely ask ask the person you're interested in to pull them aside for a bit, talk to them privately, and say, "Hey, I'm really," and then say, "Hey, I'm interested in you. Would you like to go on a date?" Because that's what I did when I asked. I mean, this might not be the best example because I got a rejection out of it, but the manager I was interested in, she and I were both at a giant social function, so a lot of people were around and whatnot. And eventually, she and I were in a conversation with three other people. Eventually, they all started to go away, and then I was like, "Hey, person, can I talk to you privately over here?" And then asked her on a date. She politely shot me down. But that's what it was. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't in front of everyone. It's
It
just
wasn't
like,
embarrassing. It was,
yeah,
a controlled environment where you asked them out and they said no, and then you went on with your life.
exactly.
Yeah, you can also ask them for their phone number first, which is almost always a sign that you're interested in
Yes.
them, and then you can do the texting. I try to avoid that. That's just I hate texting. That's a personal thing.
Why do you hate texting?
I'm just bad at it. I like picking up on social cues, tone of
Yeah.
voice, the way someone says something, and jokes. Jokes are so much harder in text
Yeah.
because you gotta be able to deliver it. You gotta sell the joke.
Yeah. Plus, if you're texting someone for the first time, you might not know what their sense of humor is, or how easily your sense of humor comes across through texting.
Yes.
As she or he interprets it.
Exactly.
So.
But specifically for individuals with autism, though, I would recommend just being, again, direct and explicit.
Because I want to circle back to meetup.com because A, I'm going to Google it later. B, okay, let's say let's say it's a hiking group, for example. Let's say you're in an area where there's a lot of hiking opportunities. There's probably going to be a group of people saying, and in the group page, it's going to say, "Hey, look for this," or "Hey, come join us." And the group page will say, "Hey, this is what we look like." Don't be afraid to approach that group of people that you suspect to be the group you're trying to meet, and say, "Hey, are you hiking group extreme or whatever?" If they say, "Yeah, hey, you," the point is that the quote unquote officers of the group or the heads of the group, they're friendly. They're trying to grow their
Yeah, they
group.
want more new members. So don't feel scared or I'm trying to think of the word anxious about joining a group of people that you don't know. They all want new members and will all welcome you openly.
Yeah, and then don't be surprised if there's that one asshole in the group.
Yeah.
Because there's always one. And so, but yeah, that should be an outlier, not the norm. And if it is the norm and not an outlier, don't join that group.
Yeah. So I mean, there are just bad groups sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
But you'll get a feel for that when you're there. If you didn't enjoy your time spent doing an activity you like with these people, you probably aren't going to enjoy spending any more time with these people.
Yeah, but you also have to put effort into your visit. Like if you're just there and you're sitting there and not doing anything, not contributing to whatever it is that y'all are doing, and you say, "Oh, I didn't have a good time." Well, no shit, you didn't have a good time. You didn't do anything.
Yeah, you gotta talk to the people in the group about your mutual interest or engage in whatever the interest is. So if you're there playing board games,
yes,
you can talk about playing board games.
Yes, and then if you're
or play them,
yeah, that too. So I think
trying to think of other specific things autism on the spectrum. Mostly, it's actually on the flip side. If you're neurotypical and you're dating someone with autism, make sure to remember to talk to them directly and explicitly. If you know they have autism, make sure to be explicit with everything. Don't wait on social nuance to kick in. I made a mistake, not a mistake, but I dated a girl who was on the spectrum one time, and it was not a good fit. I should have known from the beginning. She had some issues, but she kept talking about how she was moving in with her ex-boyfriend.
Oh.
Yeah. Big red flag, that one.
Yeah.
And I did not explicitly be like, "Hey, that's a really bad red flag." I didn't explicitly be like, "Hey, as someone you're dating, I don't feel comfortable with you living with your ex-boyfriend." I did not say that. And she did not understand why I was annoyed every time she talked about it. And now, in retrospect, I realized I should have explicitly told her, "Hey, living with your ex is awkward and weird and not normal."
Yes, that's
especially as your current boyfriend. I'm not interested in that.
Communication. That is the important thing here. If you are upset, tell them you're upset. If you're not upset, tell them you're
not upset.
Yeah.
Make sure they understand how you feel and why you feel the way. Don't get mad about something that you have not communicated to your partner. Yes. If they don't know you're mad about something, they're not going to magically know. You need to tell them.
Yes. I'm trying to, let's see, we went over in-person meetings. What about university? your college, your classmates.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, that's kind of the same as being in a hobbyist group. I mean, you're all there for the same reason, especially if you're in your classes. You're all there for the same class,
Yes.
the same subject. So, kind of treat it the same as an activity group or a meetup group. You're all there with a similar interest. The great icebreakers is talking about the class you're in, the work you're having to do, what your degree is, why you're going to college, and what you plan to do with your degree once you're out of college.
Yes. Yes, and then don't be, don't take it hard if she shoots you down, because you're going to see that person again unless you're asking about the last day of the semester.
Yes, that's another big one. Again, I feel like all this advice applies to everyone. Don't work yourself up over asking someone out.
Yeah.
It's something that like children and middle schoolers do, but I've seen adults and college age people do. Don't work yourself up about asking someone out. There's no perfect way to do it. No matter how you do it, the yes or no is probably not going to change based on any other factors other than, are they attracted to you, yes or no? If they say no, then they're not interested. That's it. Don't blow up. Don't freak out. Don't put your entire self-esteem on asking someone out, because you're going to end up heartbroken and hurt every time.
Yeah, don't put this person you're attracted to on a pedestal.
Yeah, you're going to get more no's than yeses. Everyone does.
Yep.
So you can't let every no hurt your feelings.
Yes. So yeah, if you're, I just said, I'm going to say it again. Don't put this person on a pedestal, especially to the point where you start obsessing over them, because it gets to a point where reality doesn't match how you built this person up in your head. Like it's not going to be a one-to-one recreation. She's going to be he or she is going to be different than what you envision that person's going to be, and if they don't match what your envision of this person is going to be, then don't get frustrated, because that's on you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not their fault. They're not this idealized version.
Yes, idealized. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I think quick wrap up, like general gist for dating on the spectrum.
Yes.
Be open and explicit about your autism diagnosis. Don't try to hide that. Just be yourself on your dates. Mm-hmm. Be aware that if anyone's asking for money or anything on a dating app, it's probably a bot trying to scam you.
Don't get scammed.
Really, the rest of it's all kind of minutia and nuance depending on how you're meeting people and what you're doing. But the number one way to get dates is to actually talk to people and ask them out. Because a lot of people don't do that and then wonder why they're single. Well, if you don't ask people out, you're never going to get a date.
Yep, you have to talk to people.
Yeah. And 2 is just be yourself, Don't panic and try to act like someone you're not. You don't want to convince someone you're different than how you actually are, because that won't lead to a real relationship.
Yeah.
They need to like you for who you are.
Exactly. Well, folks, this has been another episode of the Sperging Out Podcast. My name is Mitch Grace. I'm the author of the book Growing Up with Asperger's, Lessons Learned and Shareable Wisdom, on Amazon and Kindle right now in paperback and Kindle formats. The audio book format will be coming out soon. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-host extraordinaire.
Thank you. I've been happy to be on the podcast.
All right. We will see y'all next time. Thank you very much.